Hello everyone, welcome back to the .NET Office. In this video, we are going to discuss about the one of the key feature which was introduced in Angular 15, that is Directive Composition API in Angular 15. So we have seen other feature of Angular 15, that is the standalone component in standalone component in Angular 15. You can get that link in the description section. Basically tell us like we can use the component as an standalone, and basically to create a component as an standalone we have to use the standalone keyword while creating the component. Now in this video we will discuss about the another main important feature was introduced in Angular, that is the Directive Composition API. So basically this feature is introduced in the proposal of the users or the developers. Basically what they have proposed like they need the capability to add the directive to the host element in component declaration. You can find this link to read the full article about it in the description section. You can get this link. Google or the Angular team has concern about this, and they have implemented or they introduced this feature with the Angular 15. So basically the use of this feature, this Directive Composition API, is basically code reusability. It allows developer to increase host element with the directive and build the Angular application with help of the code reusability, and it is possible with the help of the Angular compiler. The Directive Composition API only work with the standalone the directive. So when we are going to create any directive, the custom directive, basically we have to create those directive as a standalone directive. Then only it will work. So let's understand it with an example. So let's go to the Visual Studio Code, and here currently we have this application. And we already created one component, and that is the standalone component. The component name itself we have given as a standalone component, and here like nothing as of now. But when we run this application and go on the browser, so currently we see like Angular 15 application that is showing, and this message is coming from app.component.html. So now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the directive. So to add the directive, let's give the command that is the ng D, and this directive I'm going to add under the directive folder. So directive, and inside this one first, basically the directive name I'm going to give the italic fonts, and analyze the font color. So basically when like we will write one text, and based on that text when we will hover our mouse, it should the color should change of that that text, and it should be in italic format or italic font. So that directive we are going to create. So let's create the directive. So here I'm going to make italics font. This is the one directive I'm going to create. Oh, so like here we missed, like we have to create it as an standalone. So as of now, like we didn't create it as an standalone. So like we can see it created the directive, and even we can see like it would be added into the app.model.ts file because we didn't create it as an standalone. So let's get rid of this from here and this reference as well, and let's make this directive as the standalone. So we know like to make it as an standalone, what we have to do, we have to make this standalone as in true. So this is the basically like we have done, like we have make it as in standalone as in true. Now next directive which we have which we want to create is basically that is the font color. So let's put a font color, and let's make it as an standalone. So what it will do, it will create a standalone directive, and we can see like it is executed. And if we will go on here, and we can see like it created font color directive, and like since we created it with the standalone, so it is the true. So now that we have done, now next part what I'm going to do, let's write some logic to here. So basically to write the logic here, what I'm going to do here, basically when we will click on the like, so basically what let's do one thing. from here, from this here, I'm going to call the standalone component. So let's take that standalone component and let's copy it. And here what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this. Now let's save this. And if we will go on the browser, currently we can see like standalone works. But when I hover on this, I want this should be in the different color and it should be in italic format. So that we are going to implement. So for that we have to implement the directive. So let's implement the font color directive. So here what I'm going to do, let's take the input as in color. So here input, and let's take this as in color parameter, and by default let's make it red. Like whenever I hover on that, it should be in red color. So that first. Now in the constructor, let's take private and element, and the type of is element ref, and the reference of this is basically HTML element. So this reference I'm taking. Now another thing what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the host listener, and in this host listener let's pass the argument that we can see. So basically I'm going to put it as a mouse enter. So this I have put here. Now the next thing what I want on mouse enter. So basically this dot element dot native element dot style dot color is equal to this dot color. So whatever the color we are passing here, the same thing we have put it here. So let's move this one. So like whatever the color we are passing, we are printing into that way only. Now let's copy it, and like once we will hover, this color will print. When we will remove our mouse from there, then let's put, so this is mouse leave. So it will be mouse leave, and here instead of this mouse enter, it should be mouse leave. And here the color will be the black, because by default we have the black color. So that we have done, like we have saved this one. Now the next thing what we have to do here, basically let's go on the app.component.html, and here we have to use our directive. So to use our this directive, so basically this is the directive, and that is the like basically like app font color. This is the directive. So let's put it here. But as of now, if I will put and go on the browser, it will not work. We can see it is not working. When I hover, it is not changing the color to the red. The reason is we have to put this directive in the app.module.ts in the import that we can do. Since we are not using the bootstrap application, currently we are calling the app module. So that's why we have to put it here only. So let's put font color directive here. So once I'll save this and go on the browser, at point of this time, the color should change to the red, since because we have given the red color here, so it should change. Let's go on the browser. When I hover on this, we can see it is changing to the red color. Here you can see. Now we are taking it as a like parameter. So now what if I will want to pass the parameter? So to pass the parameter color, and here let's make it as in green. So once I'll put in as in green, if I will go on the browser, I will see, like we can see currently it is changing to the color to the green. So this is the way like directive works. Now let's implement our another directive also. So let's go to the here, and as of now, like I have already written this code. So to save our time, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take it. So here, and let's put the directive also here. So we can see like currently what we have done the font style is italic, and here is the normal. Like once I will hover, it should be italic, otherwise it will be the normal. So now the next thing what we have to do, we have to use this in our standalone here. And another way, like we have to give the definition of this in the app.module.ts file as well. So let's give in the import. So italic font directive. Now let's save this, go on the browser. So if I will go see, you can see like it is converting into the italic format. So this is the way like we can do the directive. Now the another thing, if you will observe here, so basically if you will observe here, we are using these two parameters here only. Now what if we create one directive, and through the directive we directly call these two directives from there. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create another directive. So let's create this directive, and this directive name I'm going to give as an mouse hover. So mouse hover I'm going to give, it should be an standalone again. So once I like what it will do, it will create another directive that we can see mouse hover. Now inside this mouse hover, what I will do here, we will use one of the parameter, that is the host directive. And in this host directive, what we will do, we will pass the like these directive which we have created. So what the directive we have created, so italic font directive, and another is the color directive. So font color directive. Now here, instead of this, we can directly now use the app mouse hover. So if you will go here, and let's get rid of these two directive and put it here. And another way, in the app.module.ts file, now these two directive is not needed. We can directly use the mouse hover directive. Now let's save this and go on the browser. So if I will go on the browser, we can see it is changing and the color is changing to the red, and we are doing. But now through this one, now like through the mouse hover, I want to pass the input. So to pass the input, basically what we have to do is, here we have to use, now here like we have to write the directive, and the directive name is this, and the parameter. So basically that parameter is the input parameter. So input, and here we have to pass the color, because the color is basically, this is the parameter. This parameter we have to pass. Now another thing, like when I will save this one, and if I will go on the browser, currently it will be the red only, because by default is the red. So now this color we have to change here, and that is like, for an example, blue. Now let's save this. Now let's save this and go on the browser. So if I will go on the browser, we can see it is in blue color. So this is the way we can pass the data through this mouse hover directive as well. Now let's make some changes in the italic. And here what I'm going to do, I'm going to create like output directive. So I'm going to create the output, and this I'm going to give the name as in hover. And what I'm going to say, I'm going to say new event emitter. So this name I'm going to give here. Now another thing, what I'm going to do here, this dot hover dot emit. So this I have done. Now the same output we have to capture here. So to capture in this mouse hover dot directive, basically again we have to put it in the, like for italic we are going to do. So let's put it here. Now since we are using in the curly braces, so we have to tell them this is the directive. And now since it give the output, so what we have to tell, we have to tell the output, and the output name is basically hover. So this is the name we have here called hover. Now here what I'm going to do, like, so for an example, here I'm going to call this hover, and here I'm just calling the mouse, like basically we are attaching one event, we are going to create a one event. So mouse hover event, this is the method, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to call this method in app component.ts file. So here I'm going to call, and here what I will do, console dot log and just say hover, or say mouse hover. Let's save this. Save from here, go on the browser, open inspect element. So when I will hover this, you will see it is just writing here mouse hover. When I will go again, it is counting. Here you can see it is counting. So basically, like through this one we can get the output from the directive, and we can do. And another way, like here even we can change the name. So see, currently we are passing the color, and through that color we are passing the blue. Now here, instead of this color, what if I change this parameter color change? So for an example, this is the parameter now. If I will save this one, currently we have given blue, it will be the red only, because by default the color in the directive is the red. If you can see in the font color directive, it is the red, means it is not considering this one. The reason is because we have updated the variable name here, we have to change it to the color change. So if you will go on the browser now, you will see the blue color. So this is the way we can work the input and output the directive basically. Now another way is, like, since we are passing everything here, like basically we have passed this mouse app hover in the app.component.html. Instead of that, if I remove it from here, and now if I will go on the standalone component, so if I will go here and in the TS file, here what if I do the host directive, and here what if directly I pass mouse hover directive directly, if I will pass, and if I will save and go on the browser, so we can see it is working as expected. We can see like it is counting, and this one. So now, like basically what I'm trying to say is, instead of the passing here that directive, even we can pass that directive in that standalone component, because anyhow from here it is changing everything for the like element of the student standalone component. So we can pass the directive here directly. So this is the way basically Directive Composition API work. Like at a place we can use all the directive using the host directive, and we compose we compose all the directive at the one place, and we can perform all the operation like whatever we are having. So basically this new API allow us to create complex directive using the composition instead of the inheritance. So this is the way like this composition directive works in Angular 15. So that's it for this video. If you have any question and doubt, please comment. Thank you.